In today's video, we are going to be talking everything wells, water, and where to find it. And I have a special guest with me, and let's get after it right now. All right, my name is Diana Filkins. I'm a realtor here in Missoula, Montana, and the Bitterroot. And today I have Kevin Frazier with Primary Water Technologies here in the Bitterroot, and he's going to tell us all things about water. But this video is extra important if you and your family have the dream of buying land and then eventually building a house, where you get your water, how deep it is, all of those things. Kevin's going to cover it today, but it's super, super important. So without further ado, Kevin.
Yes, Diane. How you
Tell
doing?
us. Pretty darn good. It's a nice rainy day here in the Bitterroot. I've got my coffee with my cute little kids' handprints.
Love it.
So cute. We can't do this without coffee.
Had mine already, so we're good.
Good. So tell us all about water. Where to just go for it.
Yeah. So what I do is I locate water wells using technology, and instead of the old traditional way of using a dowser or what some people call witchers, that have the two rods and they walk your property and they find some spots. Now, dowsers do a good job for the most part. The problem is they don't know exactly where it's at.
Okay. Well,
Yep.
I'm a former teacher, so I'm going to raise my hand.
Go ahead. Yeah.
In not dumb people language, but dumb it down for us. What is a dowser?
So a dowser is basically someone who finds water using, they call them dowsing rods. Some people refer to them as water witchers, and they basically are using copper rods of some sort, or some people use willow sticks. And there's a little science and a little bit of voodoo with it. We'll say that, but they do a really good job at finding water lines, power lines, buried stuff like that. They do really good at finding we call it top water, non-sustainable water sources is what I like to call it. And then, but they can't tell you a depth. Now they can guess and they can get pretty close. There are some really good ones that do very good at that. But for us who like to know what we're getting into, especially with the prices of wells and how deep some of us have to go and exactly where, there's properties here in the Bitterroot that have 4 wells on one property, 2 of them over 1,000 feet dry.
Wow. Is this in Stevensville?
I believe so. Corvallis, Stevensville area. Yeah.
That's why it's expensive out there, people.
Yeah. So it's very important to be able to help pinpoint. Now, I do have to preface this with a kind of a caution. This is technology and geology coming together. It's not 100%. So it makes there's a little bit of skewy to it, to where some minerals and some environments can throw off the technology a little bit. And that's just a natural problem that we're going to have to deal with, right? Even witchers have that same style of problem. Okay. So it is not 100% guarantee, and I can't guarantee the quality of the water and the quantity of the water. Those are the two important things that a lot of people ask is, can you guarantee, 20 gallons a minute? Well, there's a lot of factors to that. It would be great. I would love to be able to do that. But in reality, it's just not possible. Right. There is no technology out there to do that. Okay. So witchers are typically what people use to find water wells. That's been around for millennia, really. They've been doing it since the beginning of time. Really, is they've been using sticks to find water, and animals can do it, and there's some hippies that can do it, but. Never mind. I'll digress. But we use technology.
I love that.
So with the technology, we have 2 different styles of technology.
Okay.
The first style of technology is called a gamma scintillation counter.
You're going to have to spell that. I can put it on the screen if you forget.
Yeah, we'll all this stuff will be online. We'll have links to everything, so you'll be able to see it.
Yes.
But basically, a gamma scintillation counter, it counts the gamma, the radiation coming out of the ground. Basically what it is. So the Earth emits radiation.
Right. Okay.
It's a known thing. It's not radon. It's different than radon. It's
glad
radiation.
You said that. Okay.
So it's a natural thing. We get it everywhere. Every property has it. It's just a natural thing. It's not harmful to us, right? It's a natural occurrence. Okay. So as it's emitting that radiation, water is a natural barrier for the radiation. So as we're going over properties with this gamma scintillation counter, what I'm doing is I'm mapping out this area and finding my lows of gamma. Okay. And the reason I'm finding those lows is to say, hey, this is the higher potential to have water in this area because the gamma number is lower. If I go, like an example, right? If I go to a piece of property and I'm walking this property, and I'll typically get an average of, we'll say, 170 impulses per second. The number doesn't matter. Just mind that. The number doesn't matter. Okay. Now, if I walk over a spot where that 170 on average goes up to, say, 250. Okay. Now, that's telling me that there's less water than there was at the 170, and it's just a higher rate of gamma radiation coming from there, right? Now, what I look for is from that 170, I want to see it drop down to, we'll say, 100. Now it's going to tell me that there's more potential for there's water to be a higher potential for water to be there. So now, instead of looking at the 100 or the 250 zone, I'm going to look at the 100 zone to make sure that I find the best source for water on your property. I do everything from little lots all the way up to 4, 5, 10. Did a couple Hooterite colonies over in the central Montana. They got 30,000 acres. So to do this technology over that was awesome. It took a lot of time, but it was really cool to be able to map that whole property out and say, hey, let's not worry about that whole back section over there. Let's go over here where the water is actually really good, and then we can pipe it to wherever you need it to go.
So I'm really glad that you brought up that example, because I do get people that reach out through my YouTube channel that want to buy a significant amount of land and then do like a family compound on it. So are you suggesting use you, obviously, and would one well be enough for like 3 houses?
It really just depends on the production of the well.
Okay.
So, and again, that's one thing I can't predict is how much it is.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be great.
Here you get 21 gallons a minute. Here you get 15.
Exactly. But unfortunately, we just can't do that because there are a lot of other factors. There's the drilling, that goes into it. That plays a factor into how much water you get. The size pipe that you put in the ground, so your casing plays a big factor into that too. Obviously, if you put a 4-inch casing in compared to an 8-inch casing, you're going to get a little less water into that casing. You get what I'm saying? So there's way too many factors to play into it. And then the pump and, just there's a lot of other things that go into that to where I can't predict that. But say you do want a family compound. Now, the great thing is I can come in before anything else is done. Don't even go talk to the DEQ.
Okay, hold on.
Yep.
We'll need to explain the DEQ briefly because that's like a whole process. So first you reach out to me. Obviously, all my contact information is in the description box below. We identify a piece of land, and then the next call should be you.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And so what the DEQ is basically the Department of Environmental Quality. And what they do is they regulate where your well, let's back up a little bit.
So complicated.
They make it way harder than it needs to be. Okay. Way harder than it needs to be. They say, where's your potential house going to be?
Okay.
Oh, my potential house is going to be right here. And you point it out on a map. Okay. So from there, they draw a circle. Okay. Well, your well can go into here. Well, how do you determine that? Oh, it's just close enough to the house. They do no science. They do no looking. They do nothing.
Okay. And that can be a problem. And you should talk about some of the problems that we discussed the other day.
Yeah. So, let me finish with the DEQ thought.
Sorry.
Okay. So the
squirrel.
Squirrel. So the DEQ then will go say, okay, your septic tank needs to go here, your leach field all needs to go here, and all this stuff, right? They have no idea on where the actual water is or should be.
Mm.
So a lot of times what happens is everybody builds, everybody does other stuff, everybody, I need water.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little too late to kind of get a full picture of this area. So now I'm neck down. Now, if you have, 20, 30 acres, that's fine because I can typically find a spot there.
Okay.
But majority of the time, you put your house right where that well needs to go and where the best spot is. It's 90% of the time. It's the best view, whatever. And we can always move a house a little bit here and there, to get viewed
Right.
before it's built.
Right. I was going to say, how do you pick up a house?
Well, there's a lot of different ways. There's a lot of technique, but it's expensive.
Okay.
And then same with the leach field and the drain field. The DEQ regulates all that. So when you call the county and say, hey, I want to put in a septic or I want to put in a house in this lot, right?
Okay.
The first thing you have to do is get DEQ approvals for septic. That's the first thing that you're supposed to do, right?
Because they come out, test
They
the
come
soil.
out, they do a dig hole 10 feet. They look at the soil, they check it out, they put a pipe in the ground. Sometimes they have to do a saturation test.
Right.
So there's things that has to be done and say, okay, yep, your septic system can go here. Okay, that's fine and all, but what if the well needs to go there?
Right.
We can move a septic system beforehand.
Right.
We cannot move the water underground. That is not possible.
Right.
So the first question or the first call should be to you. Mm-hmm. The second call should be to me. And then after we figure out where the well's going, now we can say, no, DEQ, the well's going right here. I already had it mapped out. Here's the coordinates to where the well's going. Let's plan out around that. Right. And it's that easy. It's really that easy.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the well has to be how far from the septic so you don't get your poopy water?
Yeah. So an open well or a well has to be 100 feet from the leach field, right, and it has to be 50 feet from an enclosed tank. So your septic tank, it has to be 50 feet from that, and it has to be 25 feet from the house or something along those lines. So the point. And it has to be 10 feet off property lines. Okay. So it does. There are variances to that. Now, say you're going to subdivide, you can do easements so there is ways around certain things, especially property boundaries.
Real quick.
Yeah.
An easement is when you get permission in writing to go onto somebody else's property.
Yes, in a sense.
It's really important because it's very, very common in Montana.
Yes.
But I came from Washington, D.C., and I blab about this in so many of my other videos. Easements is not a thing in D.C. So when I came here, I'm like, what is this word? We need, in short, permission to go onto somebody else's property.
Yes.
In short.
Or to take, say your well is on that property, you can get an easement to maintain that well and to maintain the pipeline and stuff like that. Right. So you don't even necessarily have to go on the property. It's just that well is yours and you have the easement for that well. So if you need to go over there, you can.
So what technology do you use to find the best place?
So the first one is going back into the gamma scintillation to map the area.
Okay. Like, what is that? Is that like a machine?
Nope. So I walk around your property and I get to search your property before you do. So I literally take it's a can about yay big, about that big around, and it has a crystal inside of it, some fancy crystal. Okay. Don't ask me. Some crystal that's inside of it that's programmed. Okay. Crystal that's programmed. Okay. Right.
And some like super futuristic stuff.
Well, they've been using it for quite a while. Okay. It's just so a crystal that's been programmed to search for a primary water source, a certain resistance from the gamma to the water. So there's a certain formula that they use. Don't ask me it because I have no idea.
Whatever the crystal says.
Yeah, whatever that
like
says.
A crystal ball.
So, but you can't see it. So So I use that,
Okay.
and it's just a can and a piece of computer that I walk around your property with.
Okay.
I track everything with a certain online app on my phone. I don't know if we can say stuff, so I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
keep it. I
Yeah.
use Onyx a lot
Oh yeah.
for that,
Yeah.
and so I track the land
Yeah.
and I track where I'm going, and I walk your property. I literally just walk your property and figure out where the best spot is. So after that is done, after I'm done walking your property, then I have another technology that I use to help me find how deep this water is.
Okay. Okay.
So that technology is it's called it's called a RAP system. It's a resonance acoustics profiling.
That sounds
RAP,
super fancy.
super fancy. All it really is the Earth also emits what we call radiant frequencies. Everything that we do has some type of frequency to it.
Okay.
These frequencies we can't hear. Now, when we do something like this or we snap, we can hear that frequency. But really, what's going on the ground is that, but at a frequency that we can't hear.
Okay.
So all we're doing is listening to those frequencies. Okay. Sounds crazy.
You thought you were watching a YouTube video. You're getting a full blown science lesson here.
Sorry, it's just the best way to explain this stuff,
Makes
and
it
to
makes sense. This is important.
it
Okay.
is, and tell people understand how we do it, and to make sure that it's not just blowing smoke. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like there are some companies out there, and there's some people out there that just blow smoke to where it's like, oh, this is how we do it, and I want to actually give you the facts behind it, so
Right.
if you want to go research it, you can go research it. It doesn't matter to me.
Right.
Like this is all stuff that's been out there, right?
Uh-huh.
So as the Earth is emitting these frequencies,
Okay.
all we're doing is kind of listening to them. Okay. Think of it like sonar.
Okay.
But
okay.
we're not sending a signal down. Okay.
Okay.
So all I'm doing is listening to the signal. So
Okay.
think of it like sonar. Okay. Now the signal is coming out, coming
Okay.
back, and there's a void somewhere. Like think of a bat and it's looking for a bug.
Okay.
It can see where that bug is using those frequencies that it clicks out. So as that's happening, it's showing me where the weakest spot is in that ground. So let's say we have a big piece of granite, okay, and that big piece of granite has a giant crack right in the middle of it, right? Okay. Now I see that crack because the frequency is coming through that crack at a we'll say faster rate. I don't know the actual technical term for it,
right?
But at a rate that the other granite's slowing it down. So I'm able to see that and see where that crack is.
Okay. Okay.
So now we're taking there's a possibility or probability for water with the gamma. We know that the gamma water blocks gamma, so we know that it's low there. Now I see this fracture where I can see the hole in the ground. Now what I'm doing is taking my gamma back over that spot and then pinpointing where that fracture is actually going.
Okay.
So in reality, what we're trying to look for is the weakest spot in that zone where the water has the most potential to go.
Okay.
Water flows in the path of least resistance.
Right, right.
So we're not necessarily looking for a bowl or a cup of water. That's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for moving water. We're looking for water that's actually coming up out of the ground to where we can tap into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how the technology all works. And we put all that in a computer system and we process it, and I process it all right there on property. Okay. And give you results right then and there. It's not like other companies that will send a technician out. They'll go they'll walk your property, or go look at this certain area. Then they go home. Then they get a call back and say, "Hey, go look at this one area here off of a GPS coordinates." Well, GPS coordinates typically have about we'll say civilian grade GPSs will have about a 3 meter variance to them. So really it can kind of be, a little off here and there. And then they take all that data, then they send it back in, and then they got to come back out and then put a stake in the ground.
That sounds really time consuming.
Super time consuming, super waste of time. It's very inefficient, and it's not very accurate. Like I am right there on the ground, processing, looking, doing all the data right there, getting a stake in the ground before I leave your property. Now,
That's awesome.
if I have to be there for a couple of days, obviously it's different, you know,
Right.
depending on the size of the property and stuff
Right.
like that. But
Right.
before I'm done on your property, you will have a stake in the ground, and most of the time I'll have a conversation with the owner or realtor or whoever to be able to say, hey, this is kind of what I'm seeing, this is
Mhm.
what's going on, and then you get a full report of the whole ordeal,
Awesome.
all the pictures and blah 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 and all that stuff. So
Okay, so you hire the GC and you're one of the subcontractors, right?
no, so I do my own thing. So
Okay,
it's
so you're outside of what a general contractor would hire.
correct. So
Okay,
typically I work directly with the client themselves.
gotcha.
Now that I can get contacted by GCs, general contractors. I can, and I'll do whatever. I mean, for
Yeah.
whoever. I did one up in Alberton not too long
Okay.
ago for a general contractor, and everything. You know, it worked out
But
fine.
typically you're outside of that scope.
Yep, I am not in with anyone. No
Okay.
drillers, no
Okay.
general contractors, nobody. I work with everybody.
Okay.
I work with every driller in the valley, every driller in Missoula,
Okay.
all over the state of Montana.
Mhm.
I cover all over the state of Idaho, all
Idaho?
over Idaho, Washington, Oregon, North Dakota, South Dakota, everywhere.
All of our neighbors.
Uh,
Most of them.
plus,
Plus.
yeah,
Wow.
plus.
Okay. Okay, so when we met last week, you were telling me some horror stories. Now, without going into any names or not too many details, tell us about why it's important to hire you instead of just the willy nilly drilling company to come and find the water source. You told me a couple horror stories the other
Well,
day that I think would be important for the audience.
so the horror stories that I have, there's a lot of horror stories. Okay, now when we obviously work for the customer, and when we get um, contracted to do this, we give you as much data as we possibly can to help you make that the best decision possible. Okay, so when we give you all this data and we're saying, hey, you know, this spot here, we'll map the whole property and we'll maybe put 2 or 3 stakes in the ground, three, you know, as many as we can. We try to get as many as we can in,
Okay.
so you have as many options as possible. Okay, well, a customer of ours, we had 3 different locations. Okay, they didn't like the one because that's where they wanted to put the house. Okay, that's fine, whatever, right? So they had 2 other locations that they wanted to look through,
Okay.
right? Now, when we put stakes in the ground, we have GPS coordinates, we have locations, like we do as much as we can to make sure that we have that same spot, right?
It's right here.
It's right here, right? We put a big old stake in the
Okay.
ground. Sometimes I put T-posts in the ground, stuff
Okay.
like that. Now, some of these properties we have to do some dirt work. Okay. Now, this customer had to do a lot of dirt work and move a lot of dirt to get a big enough pad for this
Okay.
driller to get on, right? Because that is important. They have to be able to work safe. They have to be able to do
Right.
their stuff.
So, in layman's terms, because we're in Montana and it's very mountainous around
Yeah.
here, so if your property is like this, you have to have it's an excavator,
Excavator,
The-
dozers, whatever, something.
the one with
Dozer.
the buckets.
It's a dozer.
My son knows all of it. I'm like, the one with the bucket. You take the bucket and you move the dirt and basically move it to the side so then it's flat and not like this.
Yep.
Okay.
Basically, cut a flat spot out of a hill.
There you go.
A mountain.
There you go.
So as they're doing this, you know, things can move because obviously they have the stake. They take out the stake, and you know, things can move. Now, I tend to go back after they do this stuff, and we did. We went back and we, you know, still tried to triangulate, try to make sure that we're, you know, pretty spot on, you know, using my gamma and everything.
Okay.
So the first one that they went to, it was, we'll say, the reasoning that they went behind it is because it was shallower. Okay.
Okay. So let's
Shallower.
pause right there. So when you're digging a more shallow well, that is cheaper than
Correct.
going deeper.
Correct.
That's probably why they picked the more shallow.
Yes.
Okay.
That they wanted to go with the least amount of expenses.
Makes
But
sense. Okay.
we also recommended not to drill that site over one other site, the site that they actually hit on.
Okay.
And because of just the way the data was, we still stake it, we still put it in the ground, but it wasn't as, the gamma wasn't as reactive. The fracture didn't look as good. So it really was a stake, but it wasn't recommended.
Like a
right?
glaring obvious.
Correct.
Okay.
It wasn't like that, right?
Okay.
And we told them multiple times, I wouldn't do that one. I wouldn't do that one. I would rather you do that, because if you don't get this, you're going to have to do that one anyways. And that's what happened. So now they ended up stopping just before our target. Okay. And when I say target or structure, it's basically the area of interest that shows the fracture zone, right? Okay. So they stopped at, and I'm just going to guess a number, right? It's not exact, right? They stopped at 150 and we needed to go to like 175, right? Okay. So what I'm looking for is a formation change. Okay. And they stopped at like 150. We needed to go to 175. Okay. But they've already spent a lot of money on all that dirt work and the drilling rig to come out there and set up on this spot that I told them not to do. Okay. Now they have to move. They got to do a little bit more dirt work to get this other site ready. And then they have to drill 600 feet. So not only did they drill 200 feet on that well, they also now have to drill 600 foot on another well, when in reality, if they would have just drilled the 600-foot well in the first place, they would have been ahead. So
they wasted money,
time.
Yep. Because around here, like, you can't be putting in wells in like January. Can you?
Yeah, you can.
Even with frozen ground?
Oh yeah. So
do you have to pay for it?
No, I mean these guys. I mean, obviously you want to try to make sure that their water doesn't freeze, because they use water to drill. They use air, to kind of drill. So there is some factors that play into it. Okay. Nobody really likes to work in the winter.
That's it.
It's really I was
like, because I don't see many contractors out here in the winter time.
They really don't like to because of, but they can. Now think about it. They're drilling through rock. They can drill through ice.
Okay.
So
but there is more of a race against time to like beat the winter.
Yeah. Everybody up here works the summer and fall to get stuff prepped for winter. We just did a bunch of firewood over our house.
That's a thing here. You
have to cut firewood.
I do talk about it. Yeah. Because I highly suggest getting a wood burning stove.
Yep.
Because it does decrease your electricity bill or your propane bill. Yep. But one of the downsides is you have to go and cut it.
Or you can have it delivered. But I'm cheap and I want to cut my own wood.
I got a husband for that.
So I cut my own wood. And it's great, and it works out. We use wood burning stove. So we work a lot during the summertime to get ready for the winter. Right. And the drillers and everybody else, they want to take that winter, and a lot of times they'll go on vacation and they'll do their thing, right? I mean, they work all summer, all fall, all spring to get this stuff done. They want to go do some stuff for the winter. Totally cool, right? But it is important to kind of get this stuff done as quickly as possible.
And I know this family in particular, the horror story that you're talking about, they have small children. So it's not just a waste of time and money, but like it does become even more critical when you have small kids involved, because you don't want to like shake up their lives too much. Like we need to be mindful of these things. So if you can get it right the first time, you're not wasting your money and wasting your time and then shaking up the kids' lives. Yeah. Because I know there was a little bit of they were renting and then they bought the house. Something.
Yeah, it was a lot.
There was a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah, a lot of moving pieces to that one.
Okay, very good. This has been super, super informative. So thank you so much for coming. And if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section. Of course, like, subscribe, to all the things.
Mhm.
Kevin, I'm going to leave your contact information in the description.
Okay.
If people want to reach out to you, call you, email you, just to reach out with any questions, or if you want to hire Kevin, um,
They're welcome to
I'm
text as well too. So
text perfect. We
yeah.
do that because I'm going to. I have already added you to my like vendor list.
Okay, good.
So any of you that express any kind of interest that you want to buy land in Montana and build a house, and it happens almost daily, if you can believe it. And I get maybe one or two people who are the like representatives for their
Uh
family,
huh.
maybe like once or twice a month, where they want to do like a family compound.
Hmm.
You're gonna see Kevin's name on the list of people to call immediately. Because you don't want to waste your time, you don't want to waste your money,
Correct.
and I want you to be taken care of by good people, and that's really important to me. So thank you so much for coming.